So in this episode, I really want to share with you what shocked me when I became for the first time I became a foster parent. And for the first time, I became a dad. And for the very first time, I was able to have a child on my own in my house. So remember, I come from a different culture where things are not done the way things are done here in the United States. Back home, things are done according to your parents. They choose when, how to do things and how they raise you. Most time, they don't have as much resources as here in the United States. So the shock was real and I was like, what did I get myself into? Most time I was like, hey, what? You do what? I have to do what? So basically, I'll tell you, back home, you grew up, many times you weren't even born in the hospital. You're born under the tree. They feed you and you survive and life went on, But here, there are protocols, there are things you have to do, there are things you cannot do. And then being a foster parent, the regulations are crazy. Yes, crazy regulations of things you can, the do's and don'ts basically. But in this episode, I really want to share with you things I had no clue. Maybe I would say attributed towards cultural difference. When I became a foster dad, I didn't know the kids have to go to the hospital twice a year. I was like, wait, what? Yes, they have to go to the hospital actually 4 times a year. Dental and wellness. Wellness means they're going to check their bodies and how they're growing and all that. I was like, wow. So most time the social workers will ask me, hey, have you made an appointment for wellness check? And I'm like, what is that? The kids have to be checked to the hospital. They're sick or not sick every 6 months. I was like, why? That's a lot of going somewhere if the child is okay. Look, I never went to the hospital unless it was really bad. 2, see my teeth? Yes, my teeth. I never went to a dentist until I came to the United States. So think about, for the last 25 years, I've never been to a dentist. Not once. Then to come find out my kids have to go to the dentist twice a month? No, twice a year. I was like, wow, that's a lot of work. So it wasn't like I didn't know. It was just more like, Why would you go to the hospital if you're not sick? Why would you take your child? I don't know. Remember, I wasn't born in the hospital. I think I was born under the tree. And I never went to a dentist ever until I got insurance and until I came to the United States. So you can see how green I was. So that's part one. As a foster parent, I always thought parents are the worst parents. For a child to be in foster care, they are the worst parents. That's what I thought. So for me, the idea of becoming a foster dad, the first week I got my child. And then the second week, they're like, your child is going to visit the bio parents. I was like, but why? Why would she or he visit the bio parents if they were so horrible that they had to take the child away? I was like, really? Why? Little did I know that's really how they help the children and the families reduce the trauma, but also keep the families together to know hey, there's hope. You can work so hard so you can have your kids. But I had no idea. I thought once they're out of the kid's life or taken away, there's no communication at all. Yes and no. To some behaviors due to neglect or a few of the things, the families get to see the kids. But physical abuse, verbal abuse, and sometimes sexual abuse, the kids are not able to see their parents. They might see the uncle or someone else, but not the accuser or someone who did that. So that's what I had to learn quickly, what? Yep, they visit their parents. So that was one. And then the other was, every week, the bio parents have 15 to 30 minutes phone call talk to their kids. And I'm like, they call me and I get to talk to their parents, these strangers who didn't care for their kids. I was like, no, I don't think I want to talk to them. Here's why. I didn't like my dad. My dad was abusive in every shape, form. So for me, the idea that someone would intervene between me and my dad was impossible, So to know that I'm going to talk to someone, a father or a mother, who literally put their child in danger, I was like, what can I say? Is there anything polite to say? So that was a shock to me. I have to? call them and they talk to the kids I have in my, you know, here's a shocker part too. Even the kids who don't speak, so they, for example, 2-year-old or less, they don't talk. So that means if they call, I am the one who have to talk. And I was like, I'm not sure I want to. I'm not sure I'm ready. So those are the shocking parts that are really shook me before I, as soon as I became a foster parent, like, wait, what? I have to do this? But before, during the training, no one really kind of told me that would happen. Like no one said, hey, you can have kids, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4. No, all those came as a shock, like, what? But two, I got to learn. Not every parent who loses their kids in foster care is a bad parent. No, sometimes the circumstances they have faced, or they don't have the network. In other words, they don't have the network to help them when they go in trouble. That would cause them to lose their kids. So I had to learn quickly that, hey, not every, parent that loses their kid is bad. So my attitude had to change really quickly because I was like, what? So, this is one of the really things that really shocked me when I became a foster parent. So before I became a foster parent, I thought having a home and having a bedroom and having it nice, like that's fine. But I've come to realize it's not true. Well, it's true. But they have to send an inspector, someone who comes to check if your windows can open in the kid's bedroom. You're like, why? Yep, just in case there was fire, they have a place to run through, to make sure, oh yeah, you have a fire extinguisher. Your house is all equipped with everything you can think of. Doors can open, the fire alarm, all of them. And they have to test them secure, safe for everyone. I was like, wow. You can have visitors, you can have friends come and visit, but if someone is visiting and staying more than 24 hours, that you have to report, or you have to tell the social worker someone is coming to visit. So if my family is coming and they're staying more than 3 days, yes, I have to call DSS and tell them their names, their social security number, and they do background check. Yep. So that's important to make sure that the people who are staying with me are safe, and for the kids. My kids can't even go to the neighbors. They can go, you know what I mean? But they can't stay more than 3 days or 2 days because I have to report, so they can do background check, yes, and make sure they're safe. So the joys of parenting, of being a foster parent, is sometimes not easy. So no sharing to scare you, but to let you know what goes on, or what things we have to do, or things I had to really learn along the way. I was like, what? How? Yes. So it's truly been a joy being a foster parent and learning lots and lots about parenting through the eyes of human resource management, which we call DSS. Oh, you know what I mean. So those are the few. Well, the other part that I had to learn the hard way was, I thought, as a foster parent, I am responsible for the child's needs and hospital visit, school visit, and all that. Then one day I told the social worker, like, I can't do that because today, or that day I was in a bill. It's like, oh, I can take the child. I was like, hey, oh, you can? Yeah, it is our job to take the children for home visit or for hospital visit. I was like, what? This time I've been like stressing about what time I can go and when I can go, and you can take the child. I was like, Peter, wake up. That's when I realized, like, oh, yes, it's my responsibility. Yes, it's my job to do all that. But if I need help, I got the social workers to do so because it's part of their job. And then I was like, so now I don't miss any appointment because if I can't make it, I buzz the social worker. Hello, lady. Hey, the child is ready to go to the hospital, but I am not feeling well, or I am not in town. Can you take the child? And they're like, yep, sure. Yes. Learned the hard way, but found out I can. I was like, yes. So it's been a joy knowing you have help. The other part, of course, as I said, I like to travel. I like to take my kids somewhere. And sometimes I have a job that takes me out of my city. So I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? Do I have to look for a babysitter? Like, what do I do? So I was stressed about it and really worried. And then I come to learn that there's this thing called respite. Do you know what respite do? Well, for parents who travel or when they need a break or just need a time out, basically, the social worker will come and find a respite for you so you can have time off or travel. So I was like, yes, respite. So it's been wonderful. Hold a minute. Wonderful? Wait. I have 7 children or sometimes 6. But finding a home where all of them can go, that can be daunting or can take a little more planning. I had to learn how to weigh that. Yes, I can travel, but when you have so many kids, not everyone can take all those kids because most families already have kids. Yep, that's something I'm still trying to figure out. So I'll call you, I'll let you know when I find the solution of who can take care of 6 kids when I travel. Maybe you can come and help. What do you think? Maybe. I would really wanted to foster more kids and help more kids. I had a house with, 3 bedrooms, So I was like, hey, I can help more. They're like, no, you don't have enough bedrooms. I was like, no, I have. They're like, well, here's a requirement. So basically, if you have a child and they are 5 and they have a sibling who is below, once this child turns 5, they cannot stay in the same bedroom, especially if they are opposite sex, boy and a girl. That means that girl has to have their own bedroom. I'm like, what? But if they are both gender, both girls, yeah, they can stay in the same. But if one is the other, no. That's when I was like, that's just banana. Most of these kids come from, single family with 1 bedroom, or sometimes no bedroom. But they are living and surviving. But when it comes to me as a foster parent, yes, those regulations matter. They matter. Yes. So quickly I learned no matter how many bedrooms I have, if I have boys and girls, that means they can't share as long as they're above 5 years old. So I was like, dang it, I wish I knew this earlier. I would make sure I know what to do. And this doesn't change between boy and a girl, teenager and little. No, all of them follow the same rule. And I was like, damn, what? Well, and the other part that really shocked me was so legally or in some way that, when I sign up to be a foster parent, when they call them placement. When they give me a child for placement, I sign the parental rights hey, I'm going to be responsible and take care of this kid, So I was like, okay, sure. But then I was shocked. Shocked. Hey, before, if your child gets sick, absolutely rush to the hospital and make sure the child is okay. But if you want to cut your child's hair, you cannot cut your kid's hair. And I was like, why? Why can't I cut their kid's hair? I was like, what? No one told me. No one explained to me that I cannot cut, my kids' hair. Why? Because I had to have permission from the mom or from the dad or from the bio parents or kinship to cut the child's hair. And I was like, if I can take them to the hospital, if I can be responsible for them to go to school, if I can be responsible for why is hair, the hair? Why do I have to ask? Well, quickly, I learned hair signifies lots of things. To some, let's say Native Americans, hair has some cultural and religious things that attach to that. To some African American hair, dreadlocks have something attachment. So in other words, I cannot cut or take away that attachment or that whatever it is between the child and their origin of where they come from or religious background. Yes, I have to have permission from the parents. I was like, wow, that is crazy. The other thing that shocked me, as I told you, as a foster parent, I have the right to really help the child grow, do anything. If she was sick and I needed anything like a surgery, yes, I'm responsible to make sure that I take the child to the hospital too, with the help of the government or the social workers. So every decision about the child, I get to make. What school, anything, reading, food, that's my responsibility. But then I was shocked that when the court when the court is deciding where the child should go or what's affecting the child, that I have no rights, not even one right to stand in the court and say, hey, I am the one who has the child 99.99 of the time. No, they don't. Sometimes they just send me a letter. They don't even expect me to be there. Even if I was there, I can't say one word. Literally, someone else who has maybe had the child for 30 minutes or sometimes an hour a week, they're the one who get to present the child and talk about the child like they know the child. You're like, but I take care of this child every day. I know the ins and out. I know when they're not feeling well. I know when they're mad from a mile. Why can't you involve me in the decision or in participating on the well-being of this child between the state and the bio parents? No, apparently I have no rights. Isn't that crazy? So quickly I learned like, hey, don't take it personal. This is how it goes. I was like, okay. So as foster parents, we have no legal representation or have rights sometimes to stand in the gap or to the judge and say, here's how the child should go. No, we don't have that. And I was like, wow, crazy, right? Guys, you also know like I travel a lot. So sometimes I like to take my kids. So I thought since I live in the United States, since I'm not flying anywhere, my kids can go with me everywhere I go, anytime I want. Well, I was wrong. Wrong. Quickly, I was like, what? They're like, well, we need about 3 weeks or 2 weeks to ask permission of where you're going. The address where you're staying, what you're going to do, who you're going to see, yada, yada, yada. I was like, what? I mean, I live in Charlotte. South Carolina is about like 8 miles away that way, you know? But if I was gonna go there for more than 24 hours, I need permission. I get it, you know? But I didn't know. But now I know, hey, if something happened, that child belongs to the state. So if you're in a different state, how are they gonna take care of that child? I get that. But it took me a while to understand, like, oh, what? I can't. What? Where? Yep. The other thing that surprised me, you know, sometimes we get to really have a connection between the parents and us, and we take care of their kids, you know? But bringing their bio parents to visit you or to know where you live, the state would rather not. So I learned quickly, like, oh, they can't come, or I can't tell them where I live. So they can call me, they can see inside my home, but I can't tell them where I live. And listen, some of my kids are teenagers. It's not like they don't know the address where we live. They know. So if they wanted to share, yeah, they could share anytime, anywhere. So I had to learn quickly, like, that doesn't make sense. But it makes sense. Later in life, I will realize, like, oh, so think about if the parents were verbally abusive or mean or sexually abusive, what if they knew where you live and they can follow the child? So I knew, like, oh, okay, I get that. So I have to report. Remember, I take care of the child in every shape form. You have kids who are crazy. You have kids who climb on trees, like they are super active and they can harm themselves in any shape form. So it doesn't matter if it could be a little scratch. You take a picture and report it. You know, sometimes in a day when you have an active kid, like some of my boys, you take about 10 pictures and report. So think about, you have to be a parent. You have to make sure that your kids are safe, which is okay, absolutely. We make sure our kids are safe at all times. But avoiding a little scratch, avoiding a little fall, you know, I would have to be an angel to stop that. So kids are kids, they grow up. So as a foster parent, I didn't realize how much stuff I had to document. Yes, that almost made me cry. Yes, document. Like, in a day, on a weekend? Come on. Well, I learned sometime, you know. Then quickly I learned the system. You know how I can do it? I could do it, wait for a whole week and file all of them and send them to the social worker. But also remember, our kids go to school or they go to daycare. So sometimes they come with scratches or things that happen. I have no clue. But I still have to report that. That was like, oh, gosh. I'm a single dad. I mean, come on. How much time do I have in a day to report all that? But it's important. Back up. Just in case they came after you, it's recorded and you told someone. Yes. Before I became a foster parent, yes, there was so many paperwork, so many I had to sign and read and study. I was like, okay. So I thought after your license, like, okay, paperwork. Oh dear, no. If you knew how many paperwork I have to sign and write and document and fill, a lot, a lot, so many that I have to fill. Sometimes when I forget and it passes by, and I'm like, man, I can't do this, you know? And sometimes the social worker will come and sit and just watch you fill in those, like, hey, here's paperwork number 1. Hey, here's paper number 100. And you're like, oh, oh. Yes. They go to the hospital. You have to document that. You need the paperwork. They're not doing well at school. You get a document. I mean, anything you need, it has to be documented. And trust me, by the end of the day, by the end of the month, by the end of the year, you're like, I'm done filling paperwork. And guess what, too? As a foster parent, I realized, like, well, your license, in some states, every year you have to go back and re-license, meaning you have to sign the same important papers over and over every year. No wonder sometimes we lose some foster parents because, the requirements are gruesome and a lot. Yes, a lot.